Hello everyone, welcome to today's news charter. Let's begin with a prelims practice question. District election management plan. We had a discussion about district election management plan in yesterday's news charter. If you have not seen it, you can go through that topic. It's very, very important because it is based on the district election management plan. The Election Commission of India ensures 100% effective and efficient conduct of election in a district. So what are all the things that will be coming under the district election management plan? It will consist of the map of all the constituencies that are present in the district. It will have a uh, detailed access and a detailed explanation of demography of the constituency. It will also talk about socioeconomic features of the constituency, and it talks about the administrative setup of the constituency. And what are all the things that the district election management plan will provide? It will provide a detailed idea of the places in which the election is going to get conducted, the amount of materials and human requirement for the conduct of elections. It will ensure that proper electricity is available in the voting booths. It will ensure that internet access is available. It will ensure proper model code of conduct is also implemented in the constituencies. So have a look at it and remember all these points. It's important for examination. India Employment Report 2024. It is important for both prelims and mains point of view because these days, even in prelims, they ask data-based questions. Earlier, we used to see very few questions in such manner, but these days, because of the excessive amount of statement-based questions, we are able to see a lot of questions where data is provided, reports are being asked, and the trends in economy, etc., are also being asked. So we need to have a complete and clear idea about it. Let's take a look at it. India Employment Report 2024. India Employment Report is released by ILO, that is International Labour Organization. Just because we have India in it, you cannot think that it is released by the government or some agency such as Niti Aayog, etc. It is released by International Labour Organization, ILO, and the Institute of Human Development, that is IHT. Try to remember it very well. And in this, a very concerning statement has been provided, which you can which you can take a note and use it in your mains answer also. They have told that the share of those with secondary or higher education, people who have completed secondary education or higher education, out of them, we can see that 65.7 percentage of the people are unemployed, whereas in 2000 it was just 35 percentage. From 35 percentage to 65 percentage means the number of unemployment among educated people has reduced. So this is a very concerning scenario in India, because if you tell that people who are not educated are unemployed, that's a completely different scenario. But people who are educated, who have completed secondary education, higher secondary education, and not able to get a job is a very concerning situation. Youngsters account for almost 83 percentage of the country's unemployed workforce. So these points are important. Long-term feature of employment situation in India. According to ILO, what are the long-term situations, long-term features of employment situations? They have told that there is insufficient growth in non-farm sectors also. The problem is in India, farm sector is in the decline. Very less amount of employment is generated. Very less amount of GDP is generated from the farm sector. But the ILO is telling even in the non-farm sector, the amount of employment generated is actually less. It's not very high. That means they are not able to absorb the extra labor force from agriculture. In agriculture, we have 50 percentage of the labor force, but the percentage of GDP that is contributed by agriculture sector is less than 20 percentage. That means excess amount of labor force has to come to other sectors such as the service sector or manufacturing sector. But The problem is the non-farm sector is not able to absorb these excess workforce. So this is a concern. Non-farm employment grew at a higher rate than farm employment. This is a well-known fact. Labor from agriculture was mainly absorbed by construction and service sectors. So this is again a point of concern because in construction sector, the wages are very less, and people will not be in a position to earn uh, the amount of money that is required to run a family. They will not be able to earn enough money to end up with a surplus by the end of the month. So that's a problem. In service sector, when we talk about service sector, we think about IT jobs or formal employment, but in service sectors, it includes informal employment also. For example, street vendors, roadside shops, etc. That also comes under service sector. So the the jobs of the people who come out of the farm sector is mostly in these two sectors, that is construction and service sector. Rise in contractualization. Contract based employment is increasing. When you have contract based employment, you get a contract for 3 months or 4 months or maybe 6 months, but after that again unemployment will come up. And in contract based employment, you won't be getting any formal benefits such as insurance, etc. So these are all points of concern, which the India Employment Report 2024 by International Labour Organization has told. So try to remember all these points because it's important for both prelims and mains. Atal Pension Yojana. So recently there was a controversy between the finance minister and Mr. Jairam Ramesh, who is the leader of opposition. So we are in a situation to at least know the basics of Atal Pension Yojana, a very important yojana and very simple things to remember. So let's have a look at it. What is the objective of Atal Pension Yojana? To create universal social security so that each and every individual, whether he's working in formal sector or informal sector, should be in a position to have some kind of social security at the time of retirement. So it targets certain sections, the poor sections, the underprivileged section, and the workers in unorganized sector. Workers in unorganized sector. These are all the targets. Who is administering it? The PFRDA, that is Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority of India, through National Pension System. The age eligibility should be noted down. Generally, when we talk about the pension schemes, it will include people until 50 years of age or 60 years of age. But in Atal Pension Yojana, it is only those people who come under 18 to 40 years of age who can involve in the scheme, who can enroll in the scheme. And the contribution levels would vary. It can be higher if it will be higher if you are a late entrant to it. It will be lesser if you are a early entrant to it. So the maximum amount of contribution one can get on attaining 60 years of age is 5,000. The minimum will be 1,000 rupees. 1,000 to 5,000 rupees based on the amount the person has contributed will be receiving. And the contribution, the money that a person receives as pension will be continuing throughout his lifetime, from 60 years of age until the age which he will be alive, it will carry. And once that person dies, the spouse of that person will be able to get the money. The contributions are eligible for tax benefits. So this point should also be noted down. The national pension system is also a tax beneficiary scheme. In the same way, Atal Pension Yojana is also a tax benefit scheme. That means tax will not be applicable on these schemes. A very, very important topic from prelims point of view, specifically because this year there has been several news about the conflict between China and other countries such as Vietnam, Taiwan, Philippines, etc. And in all these points, all these situations, we talk about the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea. Uh, that is extremely important. So we follow UN clause. All the countries follow it. India is also a signatory. So we should be knowing what are all the basics about United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. It is a comprehensive law and order regime. So this is the most important point. It tends to provide a legal basis for management of the coastal ecosystem or the marine ecosystem all over the world. And it is the only regime, it is the only convention which talks about rules in managing the oceans. So this is the only regime, it's extremely important. It divides the entire ocean into five main zones: internal waters, territorial sea, contiguous zone, exclusive economic zone, and high sea. So let's take a look at this diagram. It's extremely important. Try to remember it very well. Let's say the land of a country is until this region. So any water body that comes inside the land of a country, it is called as internal waters. So any lake, any backwater, marine ecosystem, for example, the ecosystem that comes within the border of a country but has water space in it. All these things, especially mangroves, for example, comes under internal water. From the internal water, from the coastal line till 12 nautical mile into the ocean is called as the internal, it is called as the territorial sea. It is called as the territorial sea. From the border till 12 nautical mile, it is called as territorial sea. From the 12th nautical mile, from the end of territorial sea till another 12 nautical mile, it is called as contiguous zone. From the baseline, 12 nautical mile, it is territorial sea. From the from the end of territorial sea till another 12 nautical mile, it is called as contiguous zone. From the border, from the land border till 200 nautical miles, it is called as exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone starts from the base, the border of the country, the coastal border of the country till 200 nautical mile, it is called as exclusive economic zone. Anything that comes after the exclusive economic zone is called as the IC. So this scenario, this division should be remembered very well. Now coming to the legal perspective, this should also be remembered. So we have five major divisions. What are all the things a country can do in this five different zones? Internal water, it is completely under the sovereignty of the country. It can manage its internal water in whatever way it wants. No country can ask for passage. That is, if there is a backwater in India, and if some other country tells that it is a ocean and we will use our ship, we can cross into your backwater, that cannot be applicable. We will not be providing a right to passage in the internal waters, or it is up to the country. Territorial sea, that is until the 12th nautical mile. So coastal states will have complete sovereignty, jurisdiction over the territorial sea or any resources that comes under the territorial sea. However, right to passage, right to innocent passage is applicable. It's not about any other ship from any other country coming and anchoring there. It is just about passage. So if a ship want to use the water to cross through to some other country, we have to provide the passage. Contiguous zone. What about contiguous zone? The coastal state has the right to both prevent and punish any kind of measure such as fiscal measure or immigration, sanitation, customs, etc. within its territory and territorial sea. Even in contiguous zone, the country will be having all kind of control, and it has the right to prevent any kind of crime that happens in contiguous zone. Now comes the exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone extends up to 200 nautical mile. One nautical mile is equal to 1.85 kilometers. So try to remember that also. Here in exclusive economic zone, the sovereign rights for the purpose of exploring, exploitation, conservation, managing the natural resources, living or non-living. It includes mineral exploration also. All of this of that comes under comes on top of the ocean or in the water or below the ocean, that is in the ocean bed. Everything can be managed by the country. However, the right to prohibit the limit or freedom of navigation is not completely applicable. So just because you have exclusive economic zones right to exploit the resources or manage the resources, you cannot tell that any other state will not be able to navigate in this region. So this is where China comes into play. China tells that in their exclusive economic zone, complete navigation right and everything is reserved for themselves. So they do not follow the UN clause, that is Convention on Law of Sea. That is the major problem. In exclusive economic zone, we cannot have sovereignty, right? We cannot have sovereignty to manage the entire system. We can have sovereignty over the resources, over the fish, over the minerals, or we can use it to generate electricity, etc. But we cannot claim it as our region. That cannot happen. High seas, common heritage of all mankind. No one can claim any kind of rights in high seas. Sickle cell disease is extremely important for several reasons because the government has also launched a national program to prevent sickle cell disease. So what exactly it is? It is a genetic disease, hemoglobin disorder, where the red blood cells, which are generally in a round shape, will become sickle shaped. So it will become like this, from this to this. So this is the major problem with sickle cell disease. Round shaped red blood cells will become sickle shaped, and because it has become sickle shaped, it will not be able to carry the oxygen, the amount of oxygen a proper normal red cell will be able to carry, and its density will increase, because of which it will block the passages within the veins and arteries of the human beings. So it will result in huge amount of anemia and organ damage, severe pain, premature death, etc. And India is the third highest sufferer of sickle cell disease. Approximately 15,000 to 25,000 babies born each and every year face sickle cell syndrome. One important point, it is mentioned as a disorder or a disability under the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. We passed the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, in which we provided some kind of reservation for people who are coming under these 21 mentioned diseases. And we have mentioned how people should be treated and what kind of care should be taken for all these people. So everything is mentioned here. Apart from this, certain important points, the major problems due to which we are not able to completely prevent the sickle cell disease in our country. One is unavailability of the drug hydroxyurea. Hydroxyurea is a very important drug which is used against the sickle cell disease. It reduces the pain, it calms down people, but the problem is it is not available easily in India. It is available only in tertiary healthcare sectors. In primary or secondary healthcare centers, it is not available. So it is very difficult for people to go and access it. And another big problem, sickle cell disease mostly affects tribal people. They have some genetic syndrome. They carry forward the genetics for sickle cell disease. So for a tribal person to go and access the tertiary healthcare for hydroxyurea, which is actually sold at a higher cost, is impossible. So that is a major problem. Blood transfusion is another therapy, but it is again available in district levels only, not in primary and secondary healthcare. Bone marrow transplantation is considered to be the final treatment for sickle cell disease, where the bone marrow cell will be taken from a donor and then it will be placed in the recipient, and the bone marrow will produce cells with proper RBCs and not sickle blood cells. But again, it is a very costly uh, treatment, and it is not easily accessible for people. Apart from this, another treatment is there, that is genetic treatment. So genome treatment, where your genome will be completely converted into a normal genome, and then it will be placed into your body. But again, it is extremely costly. So the government has started National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission. The aim of the mission is to eliminate anemia, sickle cell anemia by 2047. It is being implemented in 278 districts. It focuses on 17 states all over the country, 17 states and 278 districts. And here, what the government will be doing is it will screen people who are between 0 to 40 years of age, and they will provide a sickle cell genetic status card, which will show whether a person has the sickle cell disease or not. It is like an identity card, and it is executed in a mission mode as a part of national health mission. So the major aim here is to completely remove sickle cell anemia by 2047. Mains pointers, one important topic which you can use, one important topic where I have included certain data which you can use in your mains answer is about the municipal governance in India. India has been very infamous in implementing the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act of the country, that is about the Panchayati Raj and municipal governance. Especially when we talk about municipal governance, it is very difficult to tell that it is functioning in an efficient way, because in several municipalities we do not even have municipal councils, and there is huge amount of delay. So these points you can use in your answers. The CAG's audit report, the Controller and Auditor General of India's report of 17 states about the implementation of 74th Constitutional Amendment says that over 1,500 municipalities are there which did not have elected councils. They did not even have elected council. 1,500 municipalities are there. It was told by our own Comptroller and Auditor General. So this is a very sad scenario. Among the larger cities, so this can be used as an example. Among the larger cities of the country, Chennai, Greater Chennai Corporation is there, which had elections in 2022 after a gap of 6 years. For 6 years, they did not even have a municipal council. After 6 years, they conducted elections. So this is a very sad scenario. One important verdict of the Supreme Court, which you can remember, is Suresh Mahajan versus State of Madhya Pradesh. In Suresh Mahajan case, the Supreme Court told that if the municipality is dissolved, then within 6 months you have to conduct the election and appoint the new municipality. But the problem is states very rarely take care of it or follow the guidelines. So these points can be used in your mains examination. That will be all for today. All the best. Study well. Let's meet tomorrow.